Hey everyone, Ben the Bar Guy here, back with another video to help you make drinks. And today we're going to be doing a daiquiri. I'm going to show you how to make the daiquiri, one of the best drinks, bartender favorite. Maybe you've heard of a daiquiri timeout or a snackery. Bartenders love to talk about it, love the drink. So, wash your hands, grab a jigger and a tin, and let's drink better. Alright everybody, today we're making the daiquiri. Classic cocktail, everyone should know. You gotta have it in your repertoire. It's also delicious and one of my favorites personally. So obviously it's gonna be one of the first videos we put up. I had to do the old fashioned first in the previous video. Link will be in the description of that, but today we're doing the daiquiri because it's my favorite, not the first. The daiquiri's history seems to be associated almost exclusively originally with Cuba. There was a man named Cox who had kind of made a sort of punch and called it a daiquiri. There's a beach in Cuba called a daiquiri, which maybe the name comes from, and at some point the drink gets to the Army-Navy Club and comes to Washington, D.C., where it gains popularity, and Ernest Hemingway and also John F. Kennedy were fans of the daiquiri. Later on though, the El Floridita bar becomes famous for its daiquiris, and it started using lime juice, sugar, and rum, and it's rumored that they would have a bowl full of unrefined sugar or whatever the sugar of the day was, obviously very, very common in Cuba. They would take a wet spoon, dip it in the bowl, and stir it into the drink before shaking. In any case, Hemingway was a huge fan of the El Floridita bar, but unfortunately he was rumored to be a diabetic. Something that I don't think was fully understood back then, but he did know he felt terrible after the sugar in a daiquiri, which we use simple syrup. So he changed it out and used maraschino liqueur, maraschino cherry liqueur instead, and a little grapefruit juice, and that is now the daiquiri number 3. Alright, so let's get started on the recipe. The way we make it today, and the way we balance everything with lime and simple syrup, we do it the same way across the board, okay? It's gonna be a scant 1 ounce of lime. A scant means just under your 1 ounce line. The 1 ounce line on this jigger is the third one up from the bottom, okay? And we're just gonna go just under that. So the first thing we need to do is juice the lime juice. Well, let's talk about juicers. Here we have a Hamilton Beach juicer. It's their press juicer. I'm not sure it's still even in circulation at this point, but the principle behind it that we like here at Reliable Tavern is it doesn't spin underneath the fruit in order to juice it. What that spinning does is heats up the juice in a way that we don't like. That heat makes the juice kind of die and oxidize a little quicker once it's warm like that. So we try and avoid that by using a juicer that presses juice down straight, and the peel doesn't fold in. And the reason the peel doesn't fold in, if you noticed, I made little slits in the side so that the peel goes out when it goes over the juicing component, as opposed to folding in on itself and adding the bitterness from the lime, which we're trying to avoid. Lime, as you have known if you watched previous videos, has malic acid in it, and malic acid has already got a bitter component. We don't really need any bitterness from the lime oils for the daiquiri. All right, so now we have our lime juice. If you're going out to get a juicer, by the way, just try and get anything that presses down is probably your best bet. This Hamilton Beach will run you, I think, like 150 bucks, and it is under warranty for a while. However, they may have stopped making this at Hamilton. They may not have this model anymore. So look for their newer model if you're out there looking for juicers. Okay, grab yourself a tin. Now let's talk about tins. They are not the same size. Some of you may have noticed tins that are called a cobbler shaker with a little top on top, and you pull the top off and it has a strainer already built in. Well, we don't think those strainers work very well, and those tins are also difficult to work with sometimes, so we don't prefer cobbler shakers, but you do see very good Japanese bartenders using small cobblers for their drinks. Look, if that tin works for you, it makes good drinks, I don't have a problem with it, but here at Reliable, we use a strainer that's apart from the tins, the shaking tins, and has a spring on it that's very tight and catches ice that's size that we want, while letting the drink and a little bit of ice shards to pass through. So that's important. That's called a Hawthorne strainer, and I'll have some links in the description for all these products, guys. Here is your 2 tins. Now these aren't expensive at all. We get these from bartproducts.com. I will put a link in the description. They are weighted. Weighted means this little weighted bottom adds just a little heft to the tin, and we like that because we're shaking big ice cubes, and big ice cubes need the weight to be broken apart, and it gives you a little extra oomph. Another thing is if you don't have a very hard shake, we prefer shaking hard, so if you want to give yourself a little extra momentum, use the weighted tins. I think these are 28 and 14 ounces. They go together like this. We shake and then we open them and strain. Okay? So that's the system. Well, when you open, this is a trick. You can kind of see it goes in like a banana. See how it's kind of shaped like this, like a banana? All right, so right where that tin here meets the small tin, right there, okay? There's a point where if you warm up the seal after you shake, you'll be able to get the tin open a little easier, okay? That little warm up of the seal gives you the ability to pop the tin because it's gonna stick on you. When something's cold inside a closed, sealed environment, it creates a vacuum. What we need to do is warm up that seal where it's actually connected, and then we're gonna push in this direction here, okay? There's your seal. You're gonna push that direction, almost in a tangent, okay? If you're right-handed, and you're gonna put your fingers, your thumb on the top, okay? 2 fingers up here, 2 fingers down here. Your offhand, all right? And then you're gonna go off in that tangent direction while warming up that seal, okay? That's how you get the tin up. I know it's very frustrating at first, guys, when you're using these tins. To get them unsealed, don't get too frustrated. It happens to everyone, okay? Another trick, if you wanna break that seal, instead of warming it up, you can squeeze this top. You know, here's the seal, squeeze it on either side, 90 degrees away from it, okay? That will loosen this up for you. Then you can take it off, okay? That's just another trick. We have all of our ingredients. We got our lime, our sugar, and our rum, so let's build the drink. When we build a drink, we always put the big tin in the back, small tin in the front, and we're going to measure scant 1 ounce, just under the line of 1 ounce, okay? Then we're gonna go 3/4 simple syrup, all right? Sasha Petraske was my mentor, and he used to be able to tell people, make 3 daiquiris, but with the only difference between the 3, 1/8 more lime in one of them, spot on scant 1 ounce in another, and 1/8 less lime in the third. And he sometimes would go down to a 1/16 of an ounce. You would serve all 3 to him. He would taste them blind, not knowing which ones were which, and tell you which one had more lime, which one was right on, and which one was less. And I saw him do it 4 or 5 times, and he nailed it every time. If you think it doesn't make a difference, I'm telling you, you can. Someone who drinks daiquiris a lot will be able to tell the difference in how you make daiquiris, and they oftentimes will tell you once they get used to your daiquiri that they like it a little more tart or not. At which point, adjust for them. Do what they want. This is their world. You're just bartending in it. Okay? All right. So now we have lime juice and simple. That is our weak portion. We call that our weak portion. Now you could taste that right now if you wanted to see if it was right on. Be like, maybe you got distracted. Maybe you walked away, and you come back. You straw taste that, and you're like, that's about right. Now remember, this is warm. Warm means sweet is a little more prevalent. So you got to remember, you're going to make the drink cold eventually. So tasting in here in the tin warm should be a little bit sweeter than you expect in a finished daiquiri, okay? Again, things you'll learn as we go along and practice and taste lots of daiquiris. Here at Reliable Tavern, we make our own rum blend. It's not necessarily a secret, but I won't share the brands here on this channel. If you want to come in and buy this or get it to go, if you're in the DC area, we'd love to sell it to you. I think we're selling these for something like $24 a liter. Please come in, enjoy it. It's an 86 proof. We like our booze in the rail, if possible, to be between 86 and 90 proof. We tried our best to figure out what the original daiquiri rum might have tasted like, and then we started making various blends on our own, and at that point, we did a blind tasting. This particular blend won that competition. So now we built our drink. Now you may have noticed we do not get out the ice for a shaken drink until we have measured everything. And also at this point, I would be doing a garnish, like an orange peel like we did in the old fashioned video, if we needed one. Everything must be done before ice is added. We call this ice last bartending. So don't get out your ice until you're all the way done. And one of the things I don't have yet is a chill glass for this drink. Now a daiquiri is gonna go in a glass that's up, okay? Now, when a guest is getting served a glass that is up, what we want is to make sure that it's finished and tasty the way it's supposed to taste when we serve it. If a guest orders something on a rock, what you know is that they actually are telling you they want to drink it at a different dilution level at some point than you're going to make it if you shake it up. That's what they're telling you, whether they know it or not, okay? So, here's another thing. You could easily chill a glass in your freezer, all right? But we use liquid nitrogen. Okay, this is a good look at liquid nitrogen. Hard to see with all the nitrogen evaporating very quickly, but there's liquid in there. I'm gonna pour out a little, you see that? Okay. As it evaporates, something called the Leidenfrost effect happens. And Leidenfrost was the scientist who figured out that nitrogen evaporates so quickly that it has a little bubble around it that protects you. Even if you were to pour it on yourself, minus 300 degrees is more than cold enough to hurt you and burn you and give you frostbite. Because it's evaporating so quickly, it ends up not being dangerous because the Leidenfrost effect gives you this little nitrogen gas bubble around the liquid so it can roll off of you. Now if it gets trapped on you, very dangerous. If you get it inside of your body, that Leidenfrost effect is not gonna save you, and then it becomes dangerous. But you can see this glass, it's very cold and chilled, the way we like. You can also see where I'm holding, okay? Not much frost, right? It's dry where the guest holds. That's a little added bonus to liquid nitrogen. It only freezes what it touches, nothing else. Now it's time to shake. We're gonna get out our ice. We like using big cubes, but if you're at home with just half moon cubes, we call them, or your standard freezer cubes, those will work fine. Now you don't want to fill up your tin with as much ice as you can because it'll dilute really quickly that way. I like to use precisely the amount of ice based on the size that you need. So maybe 5, 6 cubes, maybe 7, depending on the size of your cubes. What you don't want to use, guys, no matter what, okay, is this here, all right? This is what we call deli ice. And if you notice, there's a dimple in the ice, and it's not ideal for shaking. And the reason is that there's too much surface area where the ice is going to melt very quickly into your drink, and you're not gonna be able to control dilution, which is very important, okay? It also breaks apart way too easily, and you get these big chunks of ice in your drink, which are very unpleasant. So use the biggest ice you can. I'll put some links in the description for molds that are sold just for this purpose of making kind of cubes that are hard. You will notice that this is still very dry. It just came out of a freezer. And what you kind of need to do when you have a big cube that's very solid is let it temper a little bit. So tempering means let it get a little wet before you start shaking it because it may shatter. So keep that in mind. You don't want your ice cube to shatter. This is chill for a little bit. Sounds good. I'm gonna shake, rip this out. And when you're shaking, guys, there's various ways you can shake. I like to cross my fingers like this so I don't drop the tin. Sometimes I'll put my hand on the bottom and I'll shake like this across my body, like a football almost, like almost throwing, except imagine throwing it into the ground. I'll shake like that. But you want to shake ergonomically. If you shake up here with big ice, you're gonna get your shoulders hurt. And if you shake down here, your back's gonna get worn out if you make a lot of drinks, okay? So try to shake ergonomically, shake up and down. Shake loose, okay? Your hands should be the only stiff part of the shake. Everything else should be very loose. Elbows loose, shoulders loose. And when you do that, you won't be out of breath. Notice how long I'm shaking. Shaking for a very long time. That's because this cube is gonna take a long time to melt. There's not much surface area on there, even though it's big, okay? And we cracked open that tin the way we talked about earlier. I'm gonna strain. I'm gonna drop the strainer down, and I'm gonna create fangs, 2 fangs. That means you've closed the gate of the strainer. And what that means is that it goes from this to that, okay? It goes over the edge of the tin and pours 2 fangs over this little gap, okay? That's how you know your strainer was engaged. Now, very importantly for a daiquiri, there's froth, okay? That froth on top is the key to a daiquiri. Wash line, which we'll talk about in other videos. This is a little bit high. I was talking a lot, and that allowed the ice to melt just a touch too much. I may have overshaken this. So I see that high wash line, I noticed that, and I'm like, this could be a problem. Okay, I taste it. It is a touch too much water for my liking, but I think I can still serve it. I'm okay with that. It's within range, we call it, of serving. Another thing I might have done, if I didn't add too much water, was that I over measured, right? If the drink line, the wash line, is high up on the glass, it's possible that I measured too much rum or lime or simple, right? So keep that in mind. If you taste and it tastes in range, maybe that was what I did wrong. Another thing, we have a bunch of different sized glasses here at Reliable Tavern, okay? So I may have just picked one of the smaller glasses that gives you a higher wash line naturally, right? So next time I pick up this glass, I might say to myself, maybe I'll use a different glass, or maybe I'll make a sour in here which has a little smaller spec, which we'll have in other videos. It doesn't have a full scant 1 ounce lime, it only has 3/4, and that would give me some room, okay? So again, that froth still hanging around, that's important. You want froth that sticks around, okay? Since I'm making this for myself, we're trying with that big ice to get the drink down to at least 2 degrees Celsius, preferably below 0, and this is probably -2 to 4 from my experience, maybe even a little colder. And the reason is that it will stay colder longer, and that gives the guest longer to enjoy the drink. So, very important aspect of getting drinks cold as you can. And the better the ice you have, the more success you'll find. You doing that, if you do ice last bartending, your drinks will get colder. Why is that? Because your ice doesn't have time to melt except into the drink. And when you melt, you drop the temperature. That's how that works. If you have wet ice going into a drink before you shake, it's already given up its energy. It's wet. It's already melted a little. All that wetness then goes into your drink without actually transferring the temperature. That's the daiquiri. I hope you guys dug it. It's a great drink. It's a tough one. Getting that froth on top, making sure your ice is right. It's a great test. And for the record, if anyone wants to come by Reliable Tavern and give me a snackery, I'm here. I'm waiting. But just the answer is yes at all times. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And remember, to better drinks. Okay? Cheers. See you guys on the next video. That's good. That's good. Hey guys, before you go, I would be remiss if I didn't mention my employer, where I'm the general manager of Reliable Tavern in Petworth, Washington, D.C., where we do all these videos and trainings for bartenders just like the ones we're doing on these YouTube videos. And you also can get our products on DC to Go, a local company that also is great. It doesn't take too much for us to get delivered items to you, mostly cocktails to go. And so if you guys want to reach out and order, I will put the links to the website and a link to DC to Go, where you guys can get our stuff in the DC area. We've always believed at Reliable Tavern that a great tavern should be commonplace, not hard to find. If you guys have time, or if you're in the area, come check us out at Reliable Tavern. Thank you guys for watching the video. Like always, to better drinks. See you guys.